I assume there's nowhere else to go. Hello, fire maker. You might not be the shooter, but then you might know something about the one that came to shoot. An old man, the deserter. An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, but he does have a rifle, so suspicious. Then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp. He's practically tearing up from spite. Hatred got the best of him a long time ago. This man hates everything. You've retained your eyesight.
My eyesight? Yes. Helps me see all the shit.
He clears his throat. A shudder of disgust passes his right side. His left side remains motionless. Are you the fire guy that the kids talked of?
The what now? I can't hear you.
He cups his ear. Did you recently tell 2 kids to put out their fire? 2 twins?
I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position. Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up.
He shakes his head. Those are just proceeds, and that's goodbye. Did you close the blast door?
I did. And you opened it. How?
He breathes out with a wheeze. How did you know I was coming?
Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
He just a snort. Okay.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
I guess that's true. Well, you didn't. You said that it was fine. And it made it a lot more fun. But sure, true. I guess it might have given out our position a little bit. But you didn't say that, Kim.
I did.
Well, you didn't really. You said what, and then you said why not, when I said nothing. Well, say nothing then.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate. Hip gyrating, mental illness music.
And I open
did.
it with the fuel the generator, then use the console.
I should have burned that console down.
He shakes his head.
Reaction.
Told you we shouldn't play.
The fascists were right
So,
about rock and roll. It is degenerate. Hip gyrating, mental illness music.
It wasn't even really rock, but now this gun you got there.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done.
He shrugged. Is that a Belle McCraft?
It's a 3-angong 446.
Interesting. Different name. Southeast Samaran made. Exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid.
He pats the rifle. The Shinya commune?
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk, white from the ball.
His gaze turns inwards. Alright, so definitely not just sorry for disturbing you. Let's say this. It's not like he's gonna be giving that gun out anyways. I'm pretty certain, so I'm with the police. You can keep the gun, but keep it down. Not one move.
No.
Yeah, I worried kind of. The lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's head and says,
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out. before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway.
Uh-huh. There's a moment's silence.
It's out of bullets.
Okay, so he shot his last bullets. And now there is none. Well, that makes it easy. The old man lays the rifle down carelessly, then looks at it lying there. Like an amputated limb in the sand. Pick up the gun lying in the sand. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand, framed, stocked, and patched in places with tape and fire. Inspect it closer. The rifle is in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Higher clips are embossed with a forearm made of walnut. On the butt you see Vespertine writing burned in the wood, Triangle 4.46 mm made in Xinjiang. This used a jacketed ammunition 4.46.
The right type and the right calibre.
The lieutenant nods, glancing at the gun. He's liking this. Well, yeah, I don't still know for sure if it's him, but it's extremely suspicious. It has said it's a triangle made in Xiangyao.
No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing.
Yeah, the lieutenant does not take his eyes off the old man. From ballistics, it could easily have been a triangle too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does.
Indeed, stow the gun. The old man keeps following your motions with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It can be used against him to get a confession in time. So who are you?
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol.
He looks across the water, then back at you, talking about all of this.
I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
So, surrendering now, his eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull.
The commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? Your holdover from the...
The lieutenant focused to close his mouth.
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the Army of the Revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in 07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in 08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
Alright, just doing that duty this full time. 51 minus 8, 43. You've been on this island for 43 years?
No. I've been on other islands, too.
He looks into the fire, a wisp of smoke rises from somewhere between the shard locks.
I was in Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago.
He thinks. Again, you've been hiding here for 43 years, overall in these islands, I mean.
43 years and 10 months.
That's the length of my entire life.
It's too long. It's not how a human being should live. But I couldn't just forget what I saw.
He grimaces, clearly in pain, and yeah, it's understandable, but was the shooting then the right thing to do? No. He just couldn't. You couldn't give up. He nods. But he can now.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
He looks across the water. Where it's morning, on Rue de Saint Lane, people are walking, the gas street lights have already been switched off. Further inland in Shamrock, the streets come alive with workers, men, women, children rushing. Muddy avenue after muddy avenue, the temperature is rising. Out the cumulus clouds from above Precinct 41. Two police officers step out of the Whirling in Racks cafeteria. Satellite officer John Viscamere inspects a series of burnt black letters splashed across the plaza mosaic. So they're right there at the moment, but I'm not there. I'm actually finding the killer. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west, the vision village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smoldering. One day, it says, I will return to your side.
Always waiting.
The old man turns his eyes from the shore and back to you. For what?
For her to return.
All right.
Her who?
Girl, child, revolution.
She's also like, or he's also. It's kind of it's a similar theme with a lot of people. That sentence that we burned, one day I will return to your side. It's all like, it's an interesting and cool way how all these kind of things coalescence, go together. And we lost the love of our life, who is really the one that kind of ruined us completely, put us into this place at the end of the day. Woman will always betray you. Well, that's a kind of rude thing to say, always, for sure. But yeah, I come from there, point to the mainland. I can assure you that it's not what the people are planning.
I am not a fool. I know. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind.
He blinks his black eyes.
The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
True. You are correct on that. What has he done? Perhaps a confession will lighten the load. What have you done then?
Yes, what? To get things going again? Fan the flame?
The lieutenant steps closer.
There is no flame to fan. There is nothing left of the world, of our dreams.
He stares right through at him, blinking his dark eyes. So you said you deserted your unit. Why?
I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too.
He clears his throat. So lapse of faith?
You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took.
For what, though?
For reaction to take hold.
What reaction?
Petty bourgeois terror. It's in all men.
And when was this exactly?
May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds, storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic.
Yeah, it would take a lot to go through all of that, and considering he was 15, 16 years old, that's, yeah, not really an age when you should have to go into such a situation. Not that you should go anytime, because it would be scary for anyone, no matter the age, really. He looks north. Dark magic?
The combined might of international capital, all at once, All the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower,
He gestures towards it.
huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
He looks east. A terrible shame still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it, the shame and smallness of what he became. But you didn't go to the map room.
Nah. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring.
He looks at the sky. What was that?
Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered.
He closes his eyes.
They'd all drowned in the lower levels, or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality.
He opens his eyes and stares right through you. Seeing what?
The mask of humanity fall from Capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love. All the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know.
He's silent for a second, and what do you know?
That the bourgeois are not human.
I've always suspected the same. Like, I understand war, especially like if we think about First World War II and stuff like that. It was extremely inhumane and all that, but on the other hand, thinking of each other as enemies, that's the thing. You justify it as that they're the enemies. They would do the same to us if they could, and all that sort of stuff. Say nothing, let him finish.
I had to. I had to fight it. I had to never stop.
And the old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin as he looks to some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. Well, partially because you also couldn't forgive yourself, I'd say personally, because you left them. So that's why you thought that I was cowardly. I just hit while everyone else died. Not that it would have made much of a difference, I'm pretty sure, even if you did it. Unless you somehow were that important of a person to them. But, yeah, you said so terrible, terrible things. And yeah, it's pretty ruthless how they just came and killed everyone. Just like we saw the shooting area before too, that they just lined people up and shot them. What is this place, this island exactly?
It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender.
He looks around. So what was it used for?
The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world.
Well, it didn't quite work out, did it? You mean the landing, retaking the Revachol?
Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it
He winces.
Death blow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone.
First, I'm not one of them, though. Coalition military. Well, we're working for the coalition, so in that sense, I can understand that he would consider us one, no matter if I would say that we are not. Death blow. Madness? I don't think it's madness. But yeah, well, murderers, there's not really any choice that I would love. Because, like, murderers is basically siding with him, which is, it's realistic, but on the other hand, it's war slash civil war at best, if we think about. And all of that is even because it was a revolution that they had. They took control of this place. I don't know, did they kill anyone in the process? But they took control of this place, which was not from the eyes of the other ones rightfully theirs. So, yeah, it's a complicated issue, and I don't think that there is a good answer. But I don't consider myself one of them. I've not been part of the attack at the very least, but first, I'm not one of them.
Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Who calls an operation against 50 million people death blow?
Yeah, it's still quite ruthless to call it a death blow. It certainly enough is. Like, sure, we are in the RCM, but I don't consider myself, no matter if I am in the police, I'm not in the military, and I wasn't here at that time. But of course, maybe just because it's history now, it's a historical mark to say it as a death blow, so maybe I would call it nonetheless a death blow. The smoke looks, by the way, pretty nice here. Well, the best I can say is murderers. I know what you mean.
You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis.
He shakes his head slowly. Iblis.
The black-eyed angel.
He nods. So how have you survived all this time?
How does anyone survive? I steal.
He looks at his worn running shoes. What do you steal?
Supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
He winches and he coughs once more, then puts his hands on his belly. It is unfortunate. He should have just left this place and tried to start something new, but on the other hand, can you, after all of what you've gone through, can you do such a thing? I did notice also that there was like a puff from the smokes here visible, and it's gone now, so...
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
Okay, so he is pretty much dead. Because that's definitely a very, very bad sign. He does seem frail, gaunt for his life, gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on fate could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns.
A troll smile stretches across his mouth. That's partially true, but that's also it's also true that we have medicinal supplies if you consider that I got shot twice and Kim here fixed me up, so, you know. You also have Dromanine, yeah. We have Dramamine and other opioid-based painkillers. You must be in pain.
I have been running out of that stuff.
A light goes on in his eyes. He smacks his dry lips. And This is a serious situation. You need to be looked over, and we can do it.
There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund.
So how have you coped mentally?
I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of...
His eyes roll into his skull and back.
I don't even know what. Inferno?
You notice the lieutenant is about to say something. I'm interested.
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Yeah, definitely.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round.
He nods towards the martinis.
It's disgusting.
He looks down at his shoes, his face parched from the sun and the wind. There's a winch of pain in there somewhere. Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on? True. So how have you concealed yourself all these years?
It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
He shakes his head and closes his eyes. But yeah, then even looking for strugglers, and I wonder if they let any of the strugglers live either, so yeah.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins.
He looks south.
And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequency's dead.
He shakes his head. How did you get between here and the mainland?
At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
He nods towards the deflated tire in the reeds.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. I just...
He falls silent, his gaze fixed on the shacks huddled together across the water. The weapon cache under St. Ghislaine 22B, point to it, in the basement. Have you been there?
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right?
Yeah, they were. He looks at you, then pulls the raincoat tight around his necks. They were damaged beyond use, though.
I know.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
So he took some of those bullets. More for him to shoot. You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across. Why don't you just walk there, though?
I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
That's not quite true, though, in all honesty. Like, if you think about also the other man that recently died, finally, from this war, he wasn't happy either. He had ideals, but, like, what can you do? At least he, like, had a friend, after all. He had a friend and the girl for a while, at least, during their life. So they survived together as a result. They could lean on each other's. But this guy, he was of course just alone. He does not want to see life moving on, people forgetting, drinking, laughing. There's a small bunker under the Feld building. Have you stayed there?
The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Yeah, that looked like it had not been to for a while. Hiccups.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys.
Aw, they just killed themselves.
A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground.
Yeah, understandable. He stares at the ruins of the Feld building. One more question. Do you smoke Tiomotiri cigarettes?
I do.
So, ever smoke them on the mainland, point to Land's End?
They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
He nods. So, continuation. The old man looks across the water at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it. So you're the communist. You are a communist soldier from the communist army.
No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army.
Okay. But you said you were trained and assigned to a defense corps afterwards.
Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
He nods. Wait, what does a political commissaire do? The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the commune.
The lieutenant says softly.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a knight philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
The tracksuit-clad old man is suddenly reanimated. He was like a cleric, a shepherd. So you were like a priest?
No, the opposite of that. A future human, not a human of the past.
Yeah, but that doesn't really matter at the end if you are more into the future or from to the past. Still, same sort of a force among the humans. He shakes his head though. That means you're trained communist, right? He nods slowly, then another tremor. Point to yourself, I'm a moralist.
No, you're not. You're part of the meat shield. The human shield that surrounds the fascists while they kill and rape. That's what you are.
Well, no. Like, I understand that you're thinking that RCM is like that, but people can be different. I make my own choices as the RCM officer. I don't just and only do their work for that sort of a purpose specifically. But, well...
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology.
The lieutenant gives you a stern look. He turns then to the old man.
We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
I agree. I just made a point. The old man spits into the fire a bit. He does not say anything more. A chitter passes his lower body. There's definitely something off with his body. Something more than just metabolism or even cancer. So probably use some things. But you said this is your termless surrender.
You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol.
Well, no, I don't have that sort of a plan, but that would be funny. We're with the RCM, let's leave it at that. I can't, like, again, he wouldn't agree. He has his point of view and he just agrees with that.
Let's. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste dans le Monde.
He looks you in the eye.
Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
His hand shakes and he breaks into a coughing fit. But, like, I understand. No one can relieve him. They were all killed. He is alone. Yes, I understand. But on the other hand, we are even a lot younger generation. We have nothing to do with any of those things. Those things were decided and done way before our time. We were not able to do anything about any of it. No matter how much you would insist, well, I belong into that. Well, you lost already. You had lost during that time. What can we do at that moment that had already lost? Even if we happened to believe into all of it. A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. So, I have another serious question for you.
There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce.
He looks at the gun in your hand. So what have you been using this gun for?
I've used it for killing people.
Yeah, that's an obvious fact. Here we go, a trail of blood. The lieutenant smells it too.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that.
Yep, just killing.
I've used it to kill people.
You indeed have.
Interesting. During or after the war?
The lieutenant nods, well, at least after.
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
I can understand his point, but the real war is over because there is just you. You are the only one in the war anymore, so can you really consider it war at this point? He shakes his head and smiles his dead, rotten black. So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay, okay. Going straight, no euphemisms, he doesn't like those. No, be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal. Wait, so which one do I say? That's a good question. Everyone has a little bit different ideas. Like logic saying that, but I don't think this is sensible. Because after all, he doesn't consider this active. He considers this still war. But yeah, if we go straight, could be alright. Because then it's just like the fact of questioning that. But does he even know that it's about that guy? So I think I'll go for this. I know you want to tell me. Have you killed anyone with that gun in the last week or two?
I don't want to tell you anything, you grotesque murderer.
And you're a murderer too. I haven't killed nearly as many as you have, clearly. And why did you think that was a good idea? Don't listen to me, I'm wrong all the time. Succession, how could you do that to me? So which one do I say then? Nothing comes to you, silence, his black eyes look at you. And in them a chill, like electricity running up your spine, crawling into your skull. What? All is not as it seems. But yeah, like I was wondering that he wants to surrender, but maybe the killing was done by someone else. And he just wants to get out and surrender. I don't know. Like this is definitely, I think this is the murder weapon. The murder was done from here, yes. But is this actually the murderer?
Detective.
The lieutenant turns to you with a well-disguised impatience. Damn it, ask it already. He wants to say... Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor Crenel?
The who now?
He leans in and cups his ear. He hurt you, he just wants to hear you say it. You're in. Uh... The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of the March 4th.
Oh, yes. That one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
He looks up at the sky and clanks his tongue.
Did you kill him?
The lieutenant takes a sudden step towards him.
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
He spits a big one at the lieutenant's feet. A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof, pile it all on him, get a confession. The scent of blood in the air, but what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first. Tracks? Well, let's say this. I don't need your cooperation, I've got this. Show him the Triangong 446. Just a heh.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your musketeer pistols.
He points at the lieutenant's sidearm.
You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
He chortles. Damn, he saw you. He watched it happen. Well, yeah, not too surprising, but I didn't even freaking have a gun. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting, obviously. So he saw you. Okay, so what? Don't let it divert you. Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it?
The lieutenant looks at the weapon demonstratively. Dramatically asks, you think we have the murder weapon?
4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it.
I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon. I have no choice.
Good.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and draws a single line.
This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
We'll see.
Murder.
The old man does not say more. He just glances into the reeds and then twitches once more. Like a marionette on some invisible string. This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more. We've done the ballistics. Point to the tower. The shot came from this island.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
A cheater passes him.
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession.
The lieutenant softens his voice.
You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
The man interrupts him. He's practically admitting to it. Practically. Just one thing. The rifle does not have a scope. True. One thing, and where's the scope? How did you make the shot without scope? We have everything else.
Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now.
He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on. We'll see. I don't know. It's the best uninterrupted line of light sighting that window in all of Martini's.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gosh is right. You have worms in your brain.
Another sudden twitch, then one more in his right eye. He almost bursts out there. Keep piling arguments, anything. To be continued with Kira Rusha next time in Disco Elysium. See you all then.